President-elect Trump is calling out California's Gavin Newsom over the state's response to the fires and its long-term planning.
Nate Foy is live in West Palm Beach, Florida. Hey, Nate.
Hey guys, good morning. President-elect Donald Trump is highly critical of California Governor Gavin Newsom's water management decisions in the years preceding these horrific fires. Namely, Trump says that Newsom should have and refused to sign a water declaration or a water restoration declaration that could have put California in a much better position to fight these fires.
I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration.
So Trump is referring to a 2020 memorandum that he signed meant to bring more water to Los Angeles and other parts of California, but the state said it wasn't scientifically justified and sued to block it for concerns about endangered species. Newsom's office pushes back on Trump's story, saying, quote, "There's no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration. That is pure fiction." Meanwhile, Trump is demanding Newsom's resignation, writing on Truth Social, quote, "One of the best and most beautiful parts of the United States of America is burning down to the ground. It's ashes, and Gavin Newsom should resign. This is all his fault." Here's Newsom last night.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it.
What is the situation with the water? Obviously, in the Palisades, it ran out last night in the hydrants.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system.
Trump will attend former President Jimmy Carter's funeral in Washington, D.C. today, and then he'll fly back to Palm Beach, where he will meet with Republican governors at Mar-a-Lago tonight. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Nate, thank you very much.
Yeah, they're talking about the tanks. They were empty at 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, they were empty.
On Tuesday?
On Tuesday. You got to be kidding me. Pacific Palisades, I mean, if you have a $3 million home, if the taxes are like New York, it's probably $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in taxes you're paying, and you can't get a hydrant? Yeah. You can't get a hydrant in front of your house? I mean, what about working class area? Up, and they said there's no water there, and they said that they don't have equipment necessary to fight. So, and while she decides, Karen Bass says, I'm looking at my budget, and I got to give over $1 billion to homeless, and I got to cut $23 million from the budget for firefighters. And they came back and said, you can't cut 23. So she says, all right, we'll just cut 17. How does that sound?
I would just like someone to tell me the appropriate time to criticize the leadership here. I mean, to the president, and I talked to the president last night, his criticism is warranted. He predicted this before it even happened. And he said, this is something that we can do to solve this problem. Okay, they don't do it. And now we're in this mess. A governor who loves to do press conference, loves the showboat of, the office, but when it comes to management and leadership stuff, he was asked about the fire hydrants, and he says he's going to leave it to the locals. Mm-hmm. There's a tragedy going on county to county, okay, city to city. You would think the state would have a position on that. And he says, just go to the locals. That's a failure of leadership.
One young man in Pacific Palisades, I saw an interview with him. He was a high schooler. And he said, they came to our house to try to hook up to the fire hydrant right in front of our home, and there was no water. Absolutely no water in this neighborhood in America. That shouldn't happen. Who's responsible for that? Who should be held accountable? Is it Karen Bass? Is it whoever's over the community of Pacific Palisades? The water problem needs to be fixed there, especially when there was an alert a few days before and Karen Bass goes over to Ghana and then flies back and won't answer questions. The reporter says with Sky News says, do you want to apologize to your community? She didn't say anything. Right. Do you want to apologize for cutting the firefighters' budget so much? Why is homeless getting more than $1 billion and firefighters are getting their budget cut $17 million?
Well, look, the problem was, and you saw it live yesterday, there were 100-mile-an-hour winds. Mm-hmm. You could have 1 jillion gallons of water. It's not going to put it out. obviously what has happened as the winds have gone down and the fire crews have been able to get in and get back up into the air, they've been able to use the existing facility. One of the problems is they've got these great big tanks. Apparently the city of Los Angeles has 114 massive tanks. They were all filled up at the beginning, but then nobody was expecting that kind of demand, and then it ran out. So going forward, your point about criticizing the leadership is accurate. It's like, okay, who decided we would only have this number of things? Who decided we would only have this number of tanks, this number of trucks, and stuff like this? And also going forward, I think a lot of the people in California are going to say, we could have had more water coming from that San Joaquin Delta thing if there weren't so many environmental protections for a tiny little fish that has been declared extinct.
Well, even Donald Trump in November of 2018, almost 9 years ago, he was out in the woods with Gavin Newsom saying, you need to fix your forests. How can Austria do this? How can Finland do this? They have many more trees and more forests than you do in California, and they don't have forest fires like California does.
I wonder if those tanks are actually full, Steve. I know you got to take them at their word, who's checking them, but I wonder if they were actually even full. Because you don't run out in hours. It doesn't matter if it's a big or small fire. You can't run out hours into a huge fire, even before you even know the magnitude of it. Maybe you can't get it out, but you could just save neighborhoods.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Wall of fire devoured neighborhoods, forcing tens of thousands of residents to flee for their lives. But as a cataclysm fueled by windstorm-charged swathes of Los Angeles, Donald Trump spotted an opportunity. The president-elect responded to six massive blazes by reopening his long-term feud with California Gov. Gavin Newsom, landing an early job on a Democratic governor and a state likely to emerge as a major opponent to his second-term plans. Trump and Newsom have clashed bitterly in the past, including over 5 prevention, environmental policies, climate change, green vehicles, and immigrations. And the incoming president wasted no time in laying the blame for simultaneous wildfires raging in the Los Angeles area that have so far killed at least 5 people. Trump slammed the gross incompetence and mismanagement of the Biden Newsom duo in the post on his Truth social media network. He claimed that California environmental policies that divert fresh water to preserve wetlands and wildlife were to blame for hydrants running dry. I will demand that his incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is blamed for this. Trump wrote as part of a flurry of social media posts, letter writing that Newsom